we looked online, and he found a place called Sonrise Adult Teen Challenge, and come to find out it's in Cache. And I'm from Lawton, I'm like, wait, so there's been help here this whole time? And so this place doesn't say no. It's like, oh, you don't have enough, sorry, we can't help you. We're gonna die out there, man. Like, we're willing to give whatever was in our pocket, which I had nothing. I had my ID, but that's it. And I found that there's a place like 18 minutes away from where I used to live, that would accept me and take me. So yeah, I blew up their phone. It took me a little bit, but eventually I ended up getting in here. But I'm no longer dying on a couch or throwing up in an old school checker box, drinking out of a Popeyes cup. I'm no longer my mom telling me, you gotta go. My mom comes by and sees me at the thrift store and she loves me. And she's happy to see her son being able to stand up straight and continue to stand up straight. Because 3 months was the longest I'd been sober, and it's been over 5 years now. So. All right, for those of you that don't know me, I figured this is the best time for me to get my testimony. I think I gave it like maybe December or January. But good thing about testimonies and truth is it doesn't ever change. It's what happened. It's some things that I'm ashamed of. Well, there's many things I'm ashamed of, a lot of things that we all are. And that's what got us to this point. And if we didn't have that, then we probably wouldn't be the men that we're out today. And you're probably feeling in a tough spot right now just because you feel like, you're having to restart all over and you're this age and whatnot. And that's what gets to us. We're not wanting to start all over, and we're upset with ourselves, we're ashamed, and we don't love ourselves anymore. And we're like, why am I here? Why am I here? God is going to show you that in time, and you have to be grateful for the moment. Just being here alone, that's the first step. Now staying here is a whole nother process. So my name is Jose, my middle name's David. There's a lot that resonates to that too. I'm sure that my mom didn't realize, David, the David of the Bible that went up against Goliath, and having to be that person in your family, it resonates a lot in my life. I come from a military family. My parents were both in the Army. I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas, 1985. I have 2 siblings. I have an older brother, Carlos, and a younger sister named Elisa. I went to kindergarten in Washington State, and then my dad went to Korea for a year because of the Army. We lived in Puerto Rico for that whole year. We lived in my mother's town called Naranjito. Pretty bad schooling. When my dad finished his year in the Army, he sent us to Fort Sill. The schooling in Puerto Rico was very, very tough. My mom didn't really believe a lot of the stories and whatnot, but there it wasn't structured. On recess, we used to have these little vending areas outside where we could actually go and hang out, and the bathrooms were so bad that we would have to pee outside, or we would have to clean up everything before we even used it. The teachers were allowed to hit you with rulers and whatnot. Now this didn't do a whole lot with my childhood. It didn't make me the man I am today. I'm just telling you that growing up from that and then coming to Oklahoma, it was a safe place compared to where I was being brought up and whatnot. Whenever I was in the 1st grade in Puerto Rico. We came back to live on Fort Sill. I started the 2nd grade here, but I couldn't read English, so they had to bring me back down to the 1st grade so I could learn how to read English. People kept on trying to help me with my homework, but they were giving me the answers, and that's not how I wanted it. I want to know how to read these things. So I've always wanted to do better and to know better. And that's when I first started my first art project. It was a kid's book that my teacher wanted me to remake in a larger copy. There's this certain, I forgot what it was called, but it had a whole lot of animals, but it was a tiny book, but we made really, really big pages. So she wanted me to draw every single page, but in a bigger version for the whole class. And that is when people at my school and I found out that I could draw. I believe that only for being a 1st grader, it wasn't that good to me, if I look at it now, but for being a 1st grader, it was actually really good. I used to draw my action figures growing up, because in the 1st grade when we came to Oklahoma, we had to live with another family, so we still didn't have a whole lot of money. We just had enough just to be able to make it here and whatnot. So I used to draw my action figures and because we couldn't afford them. And so I would draw them and I would color them, and then I'd take them out and I'd play with them. And the only bad thing about that is they only last so long, so they would end up ripping. So all I did was, I used my knowledge, and I was like, all right, you know what? How can I stop these from ripping? And we still don't have money for more action figures. So what I would do is I would just glue more pages on top of more pages, and then make them fatter, so they would last longer. Then I got more intricate with it. I turn them around, flip them over. I draw their back pockets, whatnot. Then it got to my brother wanted some action figures for himself too, so I started drawing him some. Now all of a sudden we got a whole paper collection of action figures. So this helped develop my artistic skills because in order to be able to have a good time, I had to be able to draw more and more characters. We lived on Fort Sill until I got to the 4th grade. My dad retired and we moved off post, and I went to Crosby Park Elementary. That's not too far from where I work at today. I always had good grades and I had fun, lots of fun at school. I won the talent show in the 4th grade, the 5th grade, and the 6th grade. The 4th grade, I actually drew a picture of Garfield, and I got 3rd place. It was one of the greatest moments of my life, just hearing when they announced the winners and we're all sitting crisscross and we're just on the ground, and they yell out my name, and then my whole class behind me just erupts and just so happy for me. I think I won like $10, but it was good. It was just acknowledgement, but everybody else was singing, dancing, performing, doing magic tricks and whatnot, and it was incredible. And just to be able to all I did was draw Garfield, and that was it. So obviously it was a big deal to just be able to know how to draw back then. 5th grade, I drew Wile E. Coyote, and they loved it so much they wanted me to come back because they had an after-school session where they had the winners do another art contest. And I was like, well, I don't want to draw the same guy again. I want to show that I could draw more. So I ended up drawing Daffy Duck. And then so I got 5th or 2nd place in the 5th grade, and then the 6th grade, I was like, all right, so I got 3rd place, I got 2nd place, I got to do better. So I've always wanted to excel in what I do. And as soon as I got to the 6th grade, I was like, I'm gonna go big. So I drew Daffy Duck, Tasmanian Devil, and I drew Bugs Bunny all wearing some clothes up front. And so I had to stand at the very front with the big old piece of paper, and I had to draw in front of the whole 1st to the 6th grade. And I drew all 3 of them, and I ended up getting 1st place. I think I got $25 that time, but that was the loudest I've heard my class ever yell. And it was a great moment. And so everybody's thinking I have a whole lot going in my life, because I'm an artist and whatnot, and that's who I was at the moment. Then eventually little sins started sinking in. I was in probably about the 6th or the 7th grade when I found my father's porn stash, and I knew it was wrong deep in my heart. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I've never, had this level of anxiety and just there's so many things going on. What do I do next? But that was one of the first moments where I actually felt like I knew I didn't need to be doing this. After I got to junior high school, I developed a really bad self-esteem issues. In junior high is where all different emotions combined in the elementaries, and they all went to a few choice schools, and there was a lot of that. So we didn't know a whole lot of each other. Like we didn't know who we were or whatnot. Just too many new people or whatever. So popularity was a big deal, but it was too difficult to achieve because I didn't come from money. I was shy and I wasn't good at sports, etc. And I don't know if any of you guys could relate to that, but being at the time, I don't even remember how much I weighed, but I was probably like 120 most of my life. As you can see, I'm a skinny guy, but back then I was very tiny. There's a lot of things I could say negative about myself, but I don't like to, say those things. But back then I always felt like there was things I had to cover up, things I had to, avoid people from seeing. And so I basically had to wear a mask every day, I had to wear a mask, I had to conform to the world, to what the junior high standards was. It didn't stop me from trying, to be popular. I got my first job getting paid tips as a bagger at the commissary on Fort Sill, which was actually good money. Just at the time, you would get like $2 or $3, taking their bags to their car, and I would save that up. It was like, because in order to be popular, you have to have better stuff. I actually used to draw Tommy Hilfiger symbols on my clothes because that was actually a very cheap way, because all you needed was red and white, and that's it. So you just make a quick little symbol at the bottom. Yeah, that's Tommy, that's Tommy. But nobody ever knew the difference, only because I was actually really, really good at drawing. So it's like, then after a year of that, I got my first real job at Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers. Now it's a jewelry store now, but it was in Lawton and ended up getting closed down. My goal was to make money so that I could provide for myself all the things I needed to be accepted and considered one of the popular ones. Let me read. 1 John 2:15 through 17. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For everything in the world, the cravings of sinful man, the lust of his eyes, and the boasting of what he has and does, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but the man who does the will of God lives forever. I was able to buy my own clothes. I worked long hours and saved enough to buy my own car. It was a Honda Civic 1988. I think it was like $2,500 at the time. It was very expensive. It was at a really crappy car lot. And it wasn't white. It was like an off-white. But it was my car. You know, I earned it. I worked like, I think 120 hours within 2 weeks to be able to pay for it. I was always a hard worker, and I figured the more and more I worked, the more money I could make, I could actually get something for myself. So as soon as I turned 16, I was able to get that. I played soccer, and I went to school, and I had a job. And so before I had transportation, I would go to school, then I would have to come back home on the bus, run all the way up to school to go to soccer practice. As soon as you got to soccer practice, you have to run a whole nother mile as soon as you get there, because that's how we began soccer practice. So I ran there, ran a mile, did practice, ran home, got ready for work, went to bed, and woke up and do it all over again. So when it comes to work ethic, I had to develop that in order, because I was conforming to the world. In order to be part of the world, I had to make money to be able to do the things that the world wanted me to do. So I went through all of this for the wrong reason. But at the moment, I feel like this is what you do as a man. So then I met this girl, and that was my first long relationship. I lost my virginity to her, and she became my high school sweetheart. After I graduated, they made me a manager at Popeye's Chicken and Biscuits, where I worked there for the next 5 years, on and off. My girlfriend, half a year later, after graduation, ended up getting pregnant, but she didn't know whether the child was mine or not. So, which obviously means she cheated on me. I was devastated and heartbroken and never felt that bad in my life. And I'm sure you guys can relate. Like that just... I was very naive, and to a point, I'm still naive. But to feel like you're not supposed to cheat, and you're not supposed to do these things, and you're supposed to be loyal, like there's supposed to be a rule book of things you can't do, you're not supposed to do, and things that you can do, and you weren't supposed to do the wrong things. And this is my first real relationship, and I was like, wait, I didn't think that cheating was allowed, and I found out real fast that, hey, this is the world. They do what they want. I was devastated. I was heartbroken. I even started drinking a little bit. This isn't, at the time I used to say this was the reason why I began drinking, but I chose to drink, but it's not the actual reason, but it was just an excuse at the time. I remember driving to my church at the time, it's called Holy Family, after I had been drinking, and kneeling in front of the statue of Jesus. It was a rainy night. It was just like in the movies, rainy night. I'm crying out to God, and it was very, very dark, and there's this big statue in front of me lit up. And I started praying, and I made a deal that if the child ended up being mine, I would not drink anymore. I have a scripture for you. James 4:2-3. You want something, but don't get it. You kill and covet, but you cannot have what you want. You quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. In Numbers 3:1-2, Moses said to the heads of the tribes of Israel, "This is not what the Lord commands. When a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word, but must do everything he said." Which I found out in this program by reading the Bible, you do not make a promise with God. And if you are going to make one, you better keep it. So after that, I started living a simple life. I rented out a 4-bedroom house and got 4 roommates, which I found out later was a mistake because, we were all kids, and you find out really quick that they're your friends until the bill comes. Then they all started skipping out little by little. My parents told me, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. House was in my name. So it only lasted about 6 months, but it was a wake-up call. So I ended up with 2 other roommates by the end, but they weren't even the original ones I ended up starting with. I had to give them a really good deal just to help me out. We partied all the time. We drank and we smoked a lot of weed all the time, like for 6 months. So it was just a party house. And in my culture, I'm Puerto Rican and whatnot, like we grew up, my dad was always a good host. And then like his friends, they were always good hosts. So if you went over like our place, we would dance and we would party all the way to like 4 or 5 in the morning. And then we're just saying our goodbyes for like another couple hours. So we're still hugging and shaking, dancing in the street. And like that was a party. They played dominoes. We had the domino table that you'd fold out and everything. And so that's what it looked like. So not only, am I conforming to the world, but, now I'm part of this culture where, we have to be good hosts too. And being a good host, you need alcohol, you need music, you need everything. So I wanted them to come over and be like, man, Jose's house is the spot. Which it was. It became the spot. And then, but not in a good way for me and my bills and my finances and whatnot. I ended up being promoted to store manager of the Popeyes in Wichita Falls, which I actually started working when I was 17 at the one in town, the one that we drive by all the time. And after working there, they made me a shift leader because I wasn't old enough to be manager. And then I became manager as soon as I graduated. And then they opened up another one on 2nd Street. So I was manager over there. And then after that one was open for a little bit, they decided to give me my own store. So, but I was drinking really heavily around this time when they made me manager, which is, kind of crazy because I have a really big feeling that he knew that I was a drinker at the time. So he still gave it to me. It wasn't a wise choice, but I was functioning alcoholic at for that moment. But I ended up drinking real heavily because at this time, in Texas, the beer is a lot stronger. And I found that out really, really quick. So it only took about a week and, a couple car wrecks. So this time, I was drinking real heavily, and I think it was around the time where I went from functioning alcoholic to an alcoholic with a job. I was just like, I would bring it there. I'd find different alcohols that smelled different. They had this mint one. And it just smelled like mint and alcohol. They're like, whoa, you smell like mint and alcohol. But I tried all the little methods. If you're an alcoholic, you've tried them all. The water bottle with the vodka inside of it, trick, and it's just. But there was one big situation that actually happened in Wichita Falls whenever I was there, and I was only there for 6 months. That actually resonates, and it sticks to me to this day. There's this gentleman, and I wish I could remember his name, but he ended up wanting to get a job there, and I used to give quick interviews. I didn't just have a big sit down or whatnot. I wanted to find out why you wanted the job. If you just wanted the job just for a hobby, I didn't want to hire you because obviously you're not there for the right reason. If you have bills to pay, you got a kid that's about to be born, I want people like that. That was me. I was thinking about the business. So there was this gentleman that he wanted to be my new cook for the daytime, and so I immediately told him, I said, okay, can you make it to and from work? Because that's what my problem's been. I've been having people show up late or not showing up at all because they can't make it here. And he says he takes the bus, he has a bus pass, so he's able to make it. And I was like, all right, because if that becomes a problem, I'm gonna have to find a replacement because that I take seriously. You have to be able to make it to work. So he says, yeah, sure. And he was an older gentleman. I'd probably say he's maybe like 50 or whatnot. He was a black gentleman with white hair. And he was very antsy all the time. Like he had like a little tick, so he's always moving. So I figured, okay, he likes to move a lot too. And once he worked with me a couple times, I realized he likes to stay busy. So he was actually making it, but maybe 4 out of 5 days out of the week, he would actually show up. There would always be like 1 or 2 days where he wouldn't be showing up on time or not showing up at all because of his transportation. So I remember him telling me during the hiring process that he said that he's riding the bus, but eventually he'll be able to get a bike. And I was like, okay, cool. So that would make it more set in stone that you would be able to have a job. And he's been working for me for about 3 months now, and he still didn't have a bike, and he's still missing the bus and whatnot. So I pulled him into the office, and I said, hey, you did tell me you're going to get a bike. you haven't been showing up on time, and I've been needing somebody here, and you already know what the consequences are. I was like, you're going to have to start showing up, or I'm going to have to find that replacement. I didn't care about his problems, his feelings or whatnot. It was like, this is the standards. This is what the paperwork said. This is what you agreed to. I was treating him as just an employee, not as a person. I didn't ask him, why can't he find a bike or anything like that. So that night, he went to Walmart, and he actually bought a bike. So brand new bike. I read in the paper the very next day that he was hit by a car riding his bike away from Walmart. He died, and the kid that actually hit him ended up, getting away with it only because it was manslaughter. He didn't mean to hit him, but the kid was drinking and driving when he hit him. And so I found out the next day when I was upset because the guy was not at work, and I just got through talking to him, telling him about getting a bike or finding a way to work. He went and got a bike so that he can make it to work, and I was upset for the wrong reason. He wasn't there because he was passed away. And so that basically told me that, I can't just treat people that way. Maybe if I didn't push him so hard, I could have been the one to buy him a bike. Like it didn't have to happen that way. But I didn't need to blame myself for it. My boss told me that he felt like I started digging myself deeper in a hole after that whole incident, and he decided to pull me back into Lawton to work over here and closer at one of these other Popeyes. On my way to retrieve the rest of my uniforms from my old apartment in Wichita Falls, I ended up getting pulled over in Walters. They gave me a field sobriety test, and I ended up blowing a .34. They arrested me for a DWI and impounded my father's car, which I had at the time, which I still to this day don't know how he didn't see how blasted I was when I asked him for the keys. He just told him this big story. I wanted to show off his car to the people that I used to work with, before I go grab my stuff. And so he was very mad because he had to pay the fine to be able to get it out the impound. I went to a 30-day rehab called the Lighthouse in Woodward, Oklahoma. Ended up getting my coin. They said it was good for the courts. I facilitated the AA meetings at the very end. We had this little system where you could have a president, a vice president, and a coffee maker and all this other stuff, like just within the group, just to keep morale up or whatnot. And they volunteered for me to be the president, because I was very outgoing and I kept everybody in a positive mood and whatnot. So I just felt like, I always feel like if you're in a tough spot or in a bad place, just make the best of it, be as comfortable as you can. So I made it fun for them. After I got out, I ended up getting my job back at Popeyes. I never lost it because of the DWI in the first place. I just quit. I quit there for some time before rehab because of other reasons. It's a long story, but it has nothing to do with my addiction. After I quit there again, I started waiting tables, which really wasn't good for me at all. I was using my tip money for alcohol and outfits for the club. So I would make enough money to get an outfit and I would just go clubbing. And that was a big, few years wasted in my life where there's a lot of blackout moments, and I'm pretty sure you guys could relate if you used to be drinkers. That's my next line. There was a lot of blackout moments, and I mean a lot. You used to wake up and there's blood in different parts of your body. You would notice there'd be blood on the right side, but there's no cut or anything. You notice where the blood came from, or you'll find the room where it actually happened, or there's something broken, and that shame alone is just, it's crazy because you don't want to talk to the people that you hung out with, because the people that you hung out with, if they see you, they'll normally say something along the lines like, "You all right?" And that's embarrassing for me. It's a shame. It's like, why wouldn't I be? Well, I mean, last night. Okay, well, I don't know what that means either. It's like, and then I didn't really want to know what it meant, because most of the time, like 98% of the time when they told me, you just drop your head like, oh my gosh, man. And then you say, why? It's like, that's what we got to ask ourselves. Well, why? Why did we do it? Why did we do it? To get to the point where you're still moving around, you don't know what's happening. That's on a whole nother level. Now I was usually picky when it came to women in my addiction, or when it came to women. But when in my addiction, I settled for what was just all right. I probably wouldn't even look at it if I was sober or whatnot. So I used women by letting them believe I would be with them one day, and they would just end up supporting my habit just because. So I'd just get them to buy me bottles on bottles, and I'd spend the night at their houses, and it became really, really bad because like I've told you in the past, I've never been that guy. In a relationship, you have to be this way. And it was always, one side, like you have to be. And it all went out the window. So I used to be real happy and a fun drunk, but eventually came to a really sloppy, clumsy, hazy, and all of the above drunk. Everyone I knew was an alcoholic, or everyone knew that I was an alcoholic. It got to the point where they only wanted me around when I was sober, which meant never, unless I was completely broke, which probably meant I was going through withdrawals. If you guys weren't drinkers, didn't go through withdrawals, it was a whole lot with the whole process. I would drink, I would make sure I had enough for a big fat bottle. It would get me drunk for about 2 days. It probably was enough for 4, with the way I had it in my mind, but I drank it faster because we thought, oh, well, the more I have, eventually you get to the point where you're no longer knowing how much you're drinking. Then you don't have any more. I would flip the couches upside down. I'd go through all the pillows and whatnot, look everywhere. Pennies were getting saved. If I found a dime, I'd be excited because that's 10 pennies. And I'm like, oh man. So if all I needed was $4.33 to get my tiny bottle, and that would be perfect for me. It would get to the point where my hands would start shaking really, really bad. As being a server, I'm sitting there having to write down your order and give you your coffee. And it was tough because, I'd have to hold things with 2 hands just to keep it steady. And so I would need a shot just to go to work. So, now I'm at work, I'm functioning, and I would have to drink like half a pint just to be functioning. That would be like what it would look like as if I was sober me. And, it gets embarrassing, and it gets, you feel the shame whenever you hand somebody with a shaky hand and they have to look you in the eye. They're asking you with their eyes, are you okay? I'm not, I can't stop drinking, but because I have to go to work, I have to get here. It's like, but, if I stop right now, I got to the point where if I stopped, I would have a seizure. I would just have a seizure, just flat out. I'd wake up in blood. And because my body was telling me, like, you need the alcohol. Where are you at? What are you doing? It's like, go find some money, go find some money. So I made up all the stories, all the manipulation, trying to talk to my family, stealing money out of my grandma's purse all the time, which was bad. Like, she was walking to go to work as she worked with us because my mom had a daycare. And I would always find $5 in her purse. And she knew where it was going. She knew. And then it would get to, I'm on a couch and I would have like a cup. I had to have a cup of water, which water didn't retain in my system, and I'd have a cup, an empty cup, because when I drank the water, my body would want to throw it back up. So I had the empty cup on the side, so it would throw it back up. So I'm sitting there shaking, I'm sitting there sweating, and if you've gone through this process, as soon as you throw up everything that you can, and the inner linings of your stomach is actually coming out, it turns really yellow and whatnot, and acidy. Then the cold sweats come up, but you feel relieved for like the next 60 seconds. You're like, ah. And then it comes right back. And then it just keeps going like that for like a whole day. The second day, at least some of the water could come down and stay down. And then maybe I'm able to eat something like a salad. So it would take 2 days of not eating, sweating, throwing up, eating, sweating, throwing up. Like, then finally, like at the very end, I was like, all right, now I could get a bottle. And it starts all over again. Vicious cycle, vicious cycles. Like, now that I'm okay, I could get another bottle. I could get another bottle. I used to go to the hospital and they would have to give me 2 IVs instead of just 1. And then they give me the little referral at the very end of, places that I could go to get help. And that's always embarrassing because I'm from this town. I went from the guy that used to win talent shows to the guy that's, they're trying to get out the hospital. It's him again. It's him again. I'm sitting there $120. My hair's messed up. It's been matted in the same position. Half my head smells like throw up because, I've been laying on the couch on one side. So everyone knew that I was an alcoholic in this town. I ended up living with my parents again when I was 30 because I still wasn't able to keep a job. I went to Taliaferro for mental assistance, and they put me on 5 different medications. It was for anxiety, for depression. They even had this one pill that I think it was called naltrexone or whatnot. It was to help you not want to drink alcohol. So you would take it. So, if you would see a bottle or whatnot, or you try to drink it, it kind of make you sick. Which, actually did work, to a point. But if you were like a really, really big drinker, you wanted to get drunk, it wasn't going to do nothing for you. I would pass that barrier to where you no longer feel sick. You drink enough, you pass that barrier. So the pill ain't going to stop me from drinking. The pill ain't going to do it. So I figured that if my anxiety and my depression could get helped, then maybe I could stay sober. which was not the case. Like I think I was depressed and anxious, because nobody wanted to be around me because I was drinking. When I was 32, I ended up going to a detox facility in Lawton, Oklahoma called Roadback. It's no longer called Roadback anymore. I think it's called Catalyst. I don't know where the change came, but during this moment, I was working at Popeyes and I was the dishwasher. So I went from working back to them as at the very, very bottom where I used to be a store manager at. And my grandpa had passed away because he was drinking. He drank too much and his eyes ended up turning yellow and he was at the hospital and his liver gave out and he ended up dying. And you would think that would change me and make me want to not drink anymore. But instead I used it as an excuse to drink. It's like nobody could blame me because my grandpa passed away. I'm allowed to do this, which isn't true. So I drank. I went to work one day drunk and they told me, I said, Jose, dude, you can't come in here like this. Immediately I felt shame. I was like, you're right. He's like, what should I do? I said, probably send me home so I could sober up. So I went home, I sobered up. Well, I went home to sober up, but instead I went home. I didn't feel like going back because I had anxiety and I was embarrassed and whatnot. So I immediately went to a detox facility. And here, I went through the whole process like I was telling you. I went through the shakes, I went through the throwing up, and I can't keep the water down. I can't eat because it hasn't been a couple of days yet, and I'm sitting there shaking. So I have to lay in bed because if I don't lay in bed, I'm going to have a seizure. And I told the lady this, the nurse that was there, and she was like, no, you're going to have to eat something. You're going to have to get up. You're going to have to eat something. I was like, ma'am, I'm trying to tell you, this is what, I know this. I do this many times. Like, I have to lay down. I have to lay down. So, no, when I hear you ain't going to lay down. So I went ahead, I got up. I was like, well, I'm going to have to take a shower or something. I have to give like my body a wash and I have to wake up and do something. So I remember getting up to take a shower. And then the next thing I remember is I'm standing in front of a mirror in the bathroom with blood covered all over my face. And if you've ever had a seizure at all, or if you've ever seen someone have a seizure, you notice that once they're out of the seizure, they don't know what's happening. Like they can't recall their mom's name. They don't know what day of the week it is because your mind shuts down and you collapse or whatnot. And you have a whole bunch of like medics just up there. How many fingers am I holding up? What's your mom's name? And I never knew the answers. But so during that period, you don't really know what's happening. There's probably been a lot of other seizures that have happened in my life, and I can't even recall them because I had it with nobody else around. So they couldn't tell me, hey, you just had a seizure. So I had one, obviously, and I had fallen on the ground, and I had went face first, and I cut my eye open right here. So I have a huge scar right up here above my eye, if you haven't noticed. But that split open, so they took me to the hospital, and they sewed me up. I think they gave me a Valium or whatnot, and then I had to go back. And I went back to the detox for a couple more days, and I had an eye patch. My eye was very, very, very swollen. So after I got home, I ended up getting really wasted all over again. And I fell asleep on my side for half a day, for about at least 12 hours. So even after I went to detox and I had a busted my eye open and whatnot, and I have stitches now, and that still was not enough for me to stop drinking. So I went home, I ended up getting really wasted, and I fell asleep, and it was on my left side. I ended up waking up, and I'm in my bedroom, and I remember I can't get up, and I can't move, so I started yelling for my mom. It's like, mommy, mommy. And she comes, and she's like, what is going on? Because she does, not used to me screaming like that. And I tell her I can't move. I can move this, but I can't move everything else. And, poor thing, she tried her hardest to try to get me up, but she couldn't. She's only so strong. And she was tugging. It's like, Jose, you got to get up. So now she's yelling at me to get up because she's afraid because she doesn't know what's wrong with me. And come to find out, I had some form of a neuropathy where it's a symptom that a lot of drunks go through. People like on a park bench, when they drink too much and they lay out on a park bench and, they lose. It was basically nerve damage on my left side. So the nerve damage was so bad, like my left arm was always on fire because my nerves, so it was always hurting. I used to take a lot of ibuprofen and pain pills, but not, just the over-the-counter ones and whatnot. My back was arched, so I would be walking like this the whole time because I could not extend all the way up like this. And it was like that for months. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be the same again. This is what alcohol has done to me. So like now, nobody wants to hang out with me. Nobody wants to be around me. I can't go back to work. I lost my job at Popeyes, and now I'm walking around like a hunchback because I drank too much and I had to get up. So now I'm sitting like this, and I'm trying to find a way to get a disability check, because now I'm like, I don't think I could work like this. So I'm trying to get one, and they won't give me one. I have to go through this whole process. If you guys ever try to get disability, it's very, very tough. And then when I'm a drinker as well, I'm trying to pick and choose, like, well, I don't have time for all that. I got to go drink. I got to do this. So eventually, my body actually straightened out. The doctor said, if you quit drinking, you'll be able to get your nerves back. It's like only patients can tell, like, or your time can tell if you will be able to move again, we'll be able to function again. And then so I stopped, man. And 3 months was great for me. I've never been sober for that long in my life at the moment. You know, I started drinking maybe when I was like 22, and now I'm like 30 something, and I'm sitting there trying to straighten back up. So eventually I was able to straighten back up. I got my nerves are back. Everything is fine. 3 months, went right back to drinking because I'm okay. I'm fine now. You know, I could go right back, and I'm going to watch it this time. Make sure I don't sleep on my side. You know, we think we always know the right answer. Like, you know, let me go ahead and do it different this time. What's the definition of insanity? You know, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. But we take charge, and that's what we think we need to do. So I ended up having nerve damage, and it's never the same again. I did end up getting my job back at Popeyes for those 3 months, but I ended up losing it again because I started drinking, and I went right back to detox one more time. And my parents ended up getting a divorce. My sister took me in, and I stayed on her couch and in my addiction for a couple years. She moved in with her boyfriend, so my mother took me only if I promised to stay sober or find help. And we always know those methods, you know, like we'll be sober for a little bit, and then they'll be wanting to kick us out as soon as they see us drunk. So we'll say, okay, I won't drink again, and that's it. So we'll be sober for another couple weeks, and then start drinking again. So we'll be sober long enough just to get us some more grace to stay in the house. So we all know that behavior, that whole manipulation and whatnot. And that's what I would always do. I was taking advantage of my mom. And so my sister ended up moving in with my girlfriend, or with her boyfriend, and I was with my mom. She finally got to the point, and this is very important. She got to the point, the only person that's been there for me this whole time throughout my whole addiction. I'm 34 years old. The only person was my mom. Like every time her and my dad got into it, he need to get out the house. He need to get out the house. My mom was always the one that's like, well, no, you're not throwing him out. Well, I'm going with him. So she's always that person, which, you know, it's enabling to an extent. So it's like it shouldn't have happened this long. She had enough. She ended up texting me while I was very, very inebriated on her couch, and telling me I need to be gone by the time she gets home from work, because she heard that I'm really, really wasted. So I don't know how she even heard, because I'm in her apartment. So obviously I got up and I did something outside or whatnot. But so she said, you better be gone by the time I get home. And this is my mom telling me that, the person that loves me the most. Like, so I didn't take her seriously, but she was dead serious. I got home, she told me to get out. I put on some slides. And I had a Scarface blanket. You know, it's a big symbol in my life, you know, just remembering exactly what I was wearing, you know, some shorts, a t-shirt, some slides, a Scarface blanket. And I didn't know where to go, so I tried to sleep in the hallway of the apartment complex, and then the owner of the apartment complex said, hey, this is private property, you can't be here. It's like, well, my mom lives in there. It's like, well, why aren't you in there? It's like, because she kicked me out. It's like, well, you're not a resident here, so I have to leave. I don't know any other place to go, so when they got a divorce, they ended up selling the house that I used to live in. It's the only other place that I always knew about. So I ended up walking over there because the house was being remodeled to be resold, and they had the shed in the back. So I went through the side gate, and I went back in the shed, and, you know, because I'm sitting there shaking, you know, I don't have my bottle anymore, I can't drink anymore, I don't have anything, I just have my Scarface blanket and my slides. So I go in the shed, you know, because it's cold outside, and there's nothing else. I don't have any water or anything, and I'm like, I remember there's this board game, and it's a really, really cheap checkers board game. And I opened it up, and there's nothing inside of it. I was like, okay. And I only opened it up because there's nothing else in there. I'm just trying to kill time and whatnot. And I remember getting really, really thirsty. And so I got up, and I looked around in the yard, and I actually found a Popeyes cup. And it was empty, but I took the little lid off, whatnot, and I went to the water hose spigot, and I got some water in it. And, you know, like I told you before, you know, my water didn't want to retain, but my body was so thirsty. So I drink it, and I'd be in the shed with the door closed in the dark, and it was just a little crack of light coming through, and then I would immediately want to throw up. So I threw up in that checkered box, and, you know, eventually the checkered box would overflow with vomit. So I'm sitting there in shame, and vomit without my mom, without my family, back in a house that no longer belongs to me, and that's rock bottom for me. Like, what else do I do at this point? You know, so I decided to walk up to my mom's job and I say, hey, can I at least sleep in your car? No, you can't. So you got to go. So then I called 911. You know, I need to at least, you know, get through these withdrawals because I feel like I'm gonna die out here. I'm going back to the shed. So I went to the hospital. I got 2 IVs in me. Then that's when I cried out to my sister and said, hey, I'm sober at the moment. It's like, can I please stay with you? It was like, mommy kicked me out. At least stay with you until I could find a place to go. Which, you know, there was a place that was willing to come take me, and they were in Texas. They said they were gonna come get me, but they never did, which I feel like is not a coincidence because I ended up being here. So after I was supposed to, within a couple months, whenever they didn't come and get me, I ended up going to my friend's graduation in Nashville. And my friend Chris, a lot of you guys might know him. He's a really, really good friend of mine. He brought me to this program. We looked online, and he found a place called Sonrise Adult and Teen Challenge, and come to find out it's in Cache. And I'm from Lawton, you know. I'm like, wait, so there's been help here this whole time? And if you guys ever try to cry out for help, ever try to get help at all, you know, what they tell you all the time? Well, if you got a couple $1,000s, you know, we got you. You got $5,000, there's a place over here. You got 8,000, there's a place over here. So now, like, the only way you could survive is if you pay the bill, and that's it. You know, like, so I don't have no money. Like, my wallet's empty. So this place doesn't say no. It's like, oh, you don't have enough. Sorry, we can't help you. We're gonna die out there, man. Like, we're willing to give whatever was in our pocket, which I had nothing. You know, I had my ID, but that's it. And I found that there's a place like 18 minutes away from where I used to live, you know, that would accept me and take me. So yeah, I blew up their phone. You know, it took me a little bit, but eventually I ended up getting in here. My friend drove me all the way over here. I had boxes of clothes that was from high school because I didn't have any more clothes. I only had my high school clothes. So I came in here with clothes that stunk of what my body used to smell like in, you know, back when I was in high school, you know, because that's the last time I wore it. I had my prom suit inside those boxes, and it still had the tickets of when I had to get in, you know, admission. Like, that's what I came here with. And throughout most of the program, I wore clothes from the Super Thrift. And I ain't gonna lie, I still wear clothes from the Super Thrift to this day. So yeah, you know, come on, yeah. You learn to live with little, and you know, you appreciate what God has done. And it's so being able, and I didn't even get to choose my clothes or anything. I worked at a wood shop with Jesse Minna, and I was his crew chief for about 11 months, you know, because they needed help out there. I was able to stain all over again and to be able to do art. And I remember, you know, Jesse was sitting there trying to teach me how to do a sunrise art, and I had to, you know, keep my finger steady. But you know me, you know, like, because, you know, I've been drinking so long, you know, my hand wouldn't stop shaking, you know. I'm like, and I got to the point where he's over looking over my shoulder trying to make sure I do it correctly, and I'm sitting there shaking in front of him, you know, because not only do I, you know, my body's not having alcohol, I also have anxiety because I'm afraid of what people might think when they watch me, when they see me, because I'm always afraid of that initial reaction whenever they used to see me, you know, because I have like PTSD when it comes to stuff like that, you know. How many of us, you know, ever go through a situation where they're like, hey, are you drunk again? It's like, and then you're not even drunk, but it makes you so mad you want to go drink now. You're like, well, why you guys automatically got to think that I'm drinking already? And but I remember doing the sunset, and my hand was shaking, and I told Jesse, I was like, man, I can't do this because my hand won't stop shaking. You know what he said? He said, no, it's not. You're gonna be all right. It's not. So the first time I actually felt like nobody was judging me over, you know, what I was actually doing or what's actually happening. Like he chose not to see it, while everybody else chose to see it, see that I had a problem. He made me realize I didn't have a problem. Not even a month later, I stopped shaking. You know, like, I didn't feel the anxiety because I wasn't being judged. So them sunsets that didn't look so great in the beginning started looking greater and greater and greater. And the music in the background, me being able to dance to it, not even know that I'm dancing, being able to be in a place where I'm valued when I get up in the morning, and I'm getting on people's nerves because I'm telling them good morning when they just got out of bed and they're just upset about it. Like, you know, and like, but I'm no longer dying on a couch or throwing up in an old school checker box, you know, and drinking out of a Popeyes cup. I'm no longer my mom telling me you gotta go. You know, my mom comes by and sees me at the thrift store. She loves me, and she's happy to see her son
being able to stand up straight and continue to stand up straight. Because 3 months was the longest I'd been sober, and it's been over 5 years now. And so. And we all need accountability in our lives. So I needed to be put in a place that are filled with a lot of other broken people, because they know what's going on with me. They know that even if they don't know all this, the whole story of every single thing I've gone through, they know that I'm dealing with some kind of bondage and I'm stuck to something. I'm chained to something. So they know that if I'm acting any kind of way, that I need to be loved on. And that's, every one of us needs to be loved on. So what better place than to come to a place that has like 30 to 50 people where they're all going through it. You can't do this by yourself, man. Like, you have to be there with others to be able to guide you and to be able to look at you and just know that it's going to be all right, man. It's like, I know you're going through something, man. It's like, I am too. It's like, we're going to do this together. Like, we're going to make it to the end. I was only supposed to be here for 30 days. My mom said if I could be here for 30 days, she's going to get a 2-bedroom spot, and then you could come live with me. Them 30 days, I was like, hey, you know, I'm probably going to leave here in a little bit. One of my friends at the time, his name is James Armbruster, he said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay if you leave. So if you go, I'm leaving too. I was like, well, don't do that, man. I'm like, you got to be here. And he said, well, you don't? And it stuck. I was like, yeah, I do. You know, Jess used to say it in the wood shop. It's like, some of us need more than 13 months. I'm still here, man. Like, I do fear what the world has to offer, because I did conform to it, and that's what my problem was. I suggested you guys figure out exactly what you were so attracted to out there. Realize who actually did the things for you out there. It's like, because tell you one thing, man, the world created who I am, and they spat me out. They weren't there when I was on that couch throwing up. They weren't there when I was in the shed. You know, God met me where I was at, and he guided me exactly where I needed to be. And when he was here, he showed me the moments, you know, that actually resonate. Like I said, I came here with just the clothes that was in a box. He will bring back the things that he has. And, you know, I'm not about material things like I used to be, but I'm trying to save money. I now have a fiance, and she has 2 children that love me, and they don't know the old me. They see me, and they love me for the guy that I am now, and not the guy that I was in the past. And they never know that guy. They're never going to know that guy, because I had to die to him to get to where I'm at right now. And it takes submission and obedience the whole time. Like, what is one thing you have not tried this far? We've tried it our way. We've tried it our way. We've tried it our way. It's like, we have to submit. We have to surrender it all to Christ. Floyd Williams was one of my room leaders. He told me straight up, right off the rip, he said, you need to surrender it, brother. That's what he said. You need to surrender it. I didn't know what it meant at the time. It's like, you got to surrender it. You got to say no to the right things and yes to the right things. Make boundaries in your life that you will not even cross. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do this. You know, don't make promises you can't keep. Say, I'm going to try though. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And, you know, there's a lot of little sobriety sayings, you know, 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. That's just be grateful that you're here today and enjoy the day as if, because tomorrow's not promised to us. Enjoy every minute. Wake up in a good mood. Today is a great day for me. Tomorrow, if I wake up tomorrow, tomorrow's going to be a great day too. I'm alive. Like, I don't get paid a lot at all. I got paid more in another job, but guess what? This is the richest I've ever been in my life, because I don't have just money. I have other things. I have people that want to be around me so much that I don't even know how to make time to be around them right now. But I still have to make that time, and I have to make those boundaries. And even if you've been here a month, you already see that with all the other people that are around. Whenever you go on your passes or when they see you, they're like, who is this guy? You came here thinking that you're just going to better yourself. No, God is going to recreate you, and He's going to bring you back, and they're going to realize that they brought you there just so that you can get sober, but they're getting somebody else when it comes out, somebody else that they didn't even know they needed. They're like, whoa, who is this guy? Oh, this is the guy that's going to show you the way God did it. It's like, because we just got to conform to His image. Let's stop trying to look at the interns and trying to look at the staff and it's like, well, they're being a bad example. They're doing this and this ain't fair. This isn't structured. This ain't. Who are we supposed to be conforming to? I conform to the world, and that's what my problem was for 34 years. I'm 39. The last 5 years, I've conformed to Christ and His image and doing the things He wanted me to do it. When you come to me and you're going through a problem, do I lie to you? Name one person, tell me if I lie to you. I don't. I tell you the truth, even when you don't like to hear it. It's like the truth is the same today, tomorrow, and the day after. It's going to stay the same. Lies change all the time. So live in truth. You know, God He's the Word. That book is for every situation that you are going through. That book will speak life to you, like every situation. And you can't just say, "Well, I don't know what to do." That's fine. We all don't know what to do. That's why we're here. Like we're here to get adjusted and to be able to get up on our own 2 feet and be able to live in our own skin again. And you know, just be able to just wake up like, finally, man. Like you're tired of anxiety, tired of depression. Like you're just, if you're an adult, period, you're tired because you're running from something. Like you need to, like, here's the answer. Here's the answer. God is the answer. Being obedient in Christ and, you know, being able to decide what is good for your life and whatnot, that's part of being a grown-up. And God didn't put us on this planet to hang out in a hammock. You know, He put us on this planet to be able to work and do it wisely. So He's going to give us wisdom. He's going to give us patience. He's going to give us endurance. And He's going to be there for all of it. And through our weakness, He will make us stronger. So when you say that you can't do it, what does that mean? Yeah, it means He can. And then when you say you can't, you're telling us that He can't. And you can't say that. That's a bold statement. That is not true. Everyone that works here at Sonrise and Adult Teen Challenge, Lauren Schreffler said it best. He said, we have the impossible job of bringing dead men back to life. And that's exactly what it's going to take. So if you feel like this is the worst and the worst and the worst, that's good because you've probably gone through the worst and the worst and the worst and the worst. So it's going to take a whole lot. If I stained a plaque and I messed up in different areas, it's supposed to be one color, but I accidentally stained it green, purple, yellow, and some other ones, and I have to sand it all off by hand, it's probably going to take me a whole lot of work. I'm probably just going to want to get rid of it and just start new. God doesn't get rid of us, man. It's like he'll sand it Himself if He got to. We're being sanded off, and He's going to remake us anew, man. And we're valued. If you weren't valued where you're at to begin with, it's location. You got to move, man. It's like God has been directing you. He's been shoving you through the door the whole time, man. We'd be like, hey, get off of me. Let him push you, man. Let Him push you. It's like if He pushed you in here, stop trying to get back out there because you're here. Be still and be happy that you're doing it too, man. Like be grateful. Change your perspective. Don't be bitter. Be like, yes, man. Like I'm gonna take advantage of this day, man, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. Not one person that gets on my nerves is going to get me out of this program. Not one situation. You know, if there's a write-up, that's cool. I'm willing to do a 10-piece every day because I had no money to be here. Give me a 20-piece every day if I have to. If that's what I have to do for payment to get my life back, say less. So I didn't have $2,000. I didn't have all these other places. I'm tired of calling hotlines, you know, that just so I could get some pitiful help that, you know, the person don't even know me at the other end of that line. I know somebody that does know me on the line, and it's God. And He introduced me into the right people, and I'm here with them. I'm here with accountability, and they're here to check me with the truth. Hey, you need to change up. Hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. Or most of the time, it's you're doing well. You're doing well. You're doing well, and that's what we need to hear. We don't have a lot of people building us up. We're being built up every day here. Like how many times has a brother came to you? Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How many hugs have you had within the past month, man? Probably more than you had within the past 5 years. You know, when you think about it, that's probably exactly true. I have never hugged my brother as much as I do now. I've never hugged my mom as much as I do now. I've never hugged a grown man as much as I do now. I was like, but there's love here, man. Like, and it teaches you that. How many times have you guys already laughed since you've been in this program? You laugh because you find out who we are, and we find out that nobody's perfect, and we're comfortable being around each other. And that's one of the greatest things. And it's some of the reason why I'm not gone is because, you know, I have a fear of what the world has to offer me because, you know, the devil is out there to seek, kill, and destroy. And he's going to wait for you to go in ahead, leave that door open so he can stick his little foot in there so he could do something with your life. So, but most of the reason is I'm happy being here. You know, I'm happy helping people. But for once in my life, you know, I'm not at a job where I have to cook chicken or I have to, you know, make sure that everybody's fed right. I'm in the business of saving lives. You know, one brother at a time. If I could just get one, I don't count the people that don't make it in the program. I count the people that actually make it out. And if it takes for me to see how many people I didn't reach, as long as I planted the seed, gave them some good words, everything I'm telling you right now is the truth. You know, I'm not making something up that's not, you know, that I'm hired to do. Hey, go ahead and make something up so keep them here. No, I'm telling you about what I do and what I have to go through. And I go through this, and I get to do this. I could leave right now if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Because there's nothing greater than to see a man change. You know, when Matt's telling me about him and his kids, you know, and the lights that are being shined, and you guys being able to go on a pass, and your family is just so surprised. And there's people putting money on your books that you probably didn't even imagine was going to ever put money on your books, you know, because they have to wait for you to see that you're wanting to get, you're helping yourself before they step in, because that's what they've been wanting the whole time. And we've just been blocking them. All the prayers that they've been praying for you all the way, like actually helped get you here too. I remember my little abuelita always praying for me. My mom always praying for me. You know, she would pray for me while I was drunk, and she'd turn on the YouTube and it'd play a little music in the background. She'd grab her little anointing oils and just be putting a little cross on my head and whatnot. It worked. Got me here, man. Prayers do work. You know, don't think it's cliche. It's like, because it does work. It's the most simple prayers that, you know, that I had in the program that actually gave me a wake-up call. It's like, look, he really is here. And if your life has been extremely broken, that's what he knew exactly what he had to do in your life to be able to show himself to you. Where you got to the point where like, ain't no way that my life is going to get fixed after this. Then boom, all right, step in. There's my cue. That's what God said. There's my cue. I'm here. It's like, welcome. My name is Jesus. My name is God. I know who you've been this whole time. I've been waiting for you. I said, I've been behind you the whole time. It's better to not to have known God than to know him and turn your back on him. Heard that. There's people in this program, like Wesley Burns said, that is probably trying harder at your program than you yourself, at your own program. So when you see somebody trying to keep you here, it's for a reason, man. It's like, because we're here as a group trying to build each other up and trying to save people. Why do you think the rest of those students are coming back? Because they know what this place does. They know what they had in this place. And I learned a lot from the rest of those guys. They went out there and they came back. Like, it can happen to any one of us. Where one man has gone, we may go as well. Like, so learn from them. It's like, look, what they're saying is not false. They went out there, they tried it. They came back and they're scared. There was wolves out there. It's like, it's bad. I'm like, I'll believe them too. It's like, yeah, it's bad. So be that light. Love on one another, man. Build each other up. Today's a whole new day, man. And it's enough for me. And if it's the only day I have left, I'm content with that, at least that I made it here. And I was able to enjoy some peace in my life. I hope you guys are encouraged, and I hope that you guys can continue moving forward. All I can say is there's nothing that you haven't already gone through that you can't go a little bit further. Like, you've survived too many storms to be bothered by a few raindrops. Like, get ready. You're a grown man. If you've been broken, accept the fact it's going to be hard and just own it. Like, but I'm going to do this. Wake up and say, I'm going to do this because I can, and I'm able to, because God's got me, and God is there for when I feel weak. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for your words, Lord, for you being able to step in and be part of our lives. I thank you for just putting us through the situations that we didn't certainly agree with at the moment, Lord, and just giving us the shame and not wiping it from our memories, Lord, so that we could continue to use it as tools to be able to move forward. We thank you for the brothers that are here, Lord, that you kept alive just to be able to do this with us, Lord, because sometimes we feel like we can't do it on our own. I pray for our family members out there, Lord. We apologize, Lord, because we know that we probably put them through a lot, Lord, and that they probably felt like we weren't helping them or we weren't providing or whatnot. But we know that they have hope because we're here, Lord, and allow us to be strong. Add the patience and the strength that we're going to need to be able to get throughout this, Lord, so that we could keep that hope alive, so that they could feel like there's going to be a new man coming into their life to be able to help them. I pray that you could just keep us, just allow us to persevere, direct us in every avenue, Lord. Just when things seem dark, allow to clear them up so that we may be able to function and be able to live another day. Just allow us to change our perspective, Lord. Allow us to pour our half-empty glass, Lord, into somebody else's, Lord, and just know that what we're doing here is for the right reasons. And sometimes when we don't understand it, we just got to leave it to you. And I pray that you forgive us for ever having any doubts, Lord, or for ever having any worry. We just need to rely on you. We thank you for what you're doing in our lives, Lord, and we always praise you. In your mighty name, we ask these things.